Praise the Broken Promise of America by Allison Luderman. Praise deep mineral veins under rich dirt and fossilized remains of dinosaurs turning themselves into gas for our benefit. Praise the exhausted earth, miles and miles of subsidized corn and cattle lowing from their hellholes in automated milking barns. Praise farm workers rising before dawn, their sore backs and aching knees. Praise the myths that drew them here, stories eagerly consumed when there is nothing to eat but faith. Praise the courage of the reverend to look the dragon in the eye and preach mercy. Praise whatever hidden waterways are still pristine. Praise music that refused to play at the funeral of democracy and the killing cold that swept through Washington when the fake Pope took power.
Praise drag queens and lipstick lesbians, boys who are girls and girls who are lions, butch women wearing tool belts, and all the music theater nerds who are even now building new passageways, mapping the next underground railroad, and suiting up to be conductors. Oh, everybody, get on board. This train will chug quietly across the Great Plains and over rocky Sierras into the desert where people still leave bottles of water and packets of food for the desperate, who have always been the lifeblood of this nation. It will stop in obscure hamlets to pick up fugitives with tears tattooed on their cheeks and fraying backpacks overspilling with contraband books. Praise the weirdos, because if anyone can save us, it will be us. And praise all the glittering illusions we gawked at, ignoring our own neighbors in favor of a 24-hour peep show on the internet.
Praise the convict firefighters on the front lines in LA, battling the insurmountable for $10 a day. We gambled our future for a hot air balloon with a hole in it. Praise our reckless hubris and the infinite distractions of the hall of mirrors we find ourselves in now. And bless our overwhelmed brains, scurrying like mice for shelter. Bless our collective rage and protect the officers who stood up on January 6th and now see their attackers roaming the streets like rabid dogs. Bless the animals we have always been in our coats and shoes and clumsy language. Bless our willful ignorance, so enormous, so world-altering, that like the Great Wall of China, it can be seen from outer space where the gods are shaking their heads even now in pity and in awe.
Thank you.
That is a beautiful, beautiful poem.
Listen to it more than once. See if you can find it online. We didn't start our podcast like we normally do, and this is number 95. And we are going to have wine right now.
That sounds like a great idea.
This is called Standing Goat.
Oh, I love goats.
I knew you would like that.
Not fainting goats. That's
No,
a real
not
thing.
fainting, and I know you don't want a lot
That's
because
okay.
Or
Judy's still.
Goat yoga? Isn't there yoga goats?
Yes.
I've done goat yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I have.
That does not surprise me, Judy.
Yeah, that's true.
It can be messy, but I highly recommend that.
Oh wait, you,
No, that's a little bit, because you know I don't normally drink wine.
thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we, like I said, are starting the podcast today a little differently. We're very traumatized. Maybe that's not the right word. I don't want to speak for these two. I'm traumatized by what T-Rump has been doing to us as a people, as a country. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay,
Right.
but first let's talk about wine. Do you want to do
No,
that?
oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yes.
So let's
Standing Goat, it's from Paso Robles.
right.
What year is this? 2023?
2022.
Oh, two. Okay.
I got this at Stu Leonard's. They had a whole big display of it, and somebody had written a little write-up, and I should have took a picture of their write-up, but I
know.
didn't.
I always forget to do that one.
But, no, there were other people around, I just like was a little like, is this weird, taking a picture of the write-up, but,
Nice smell. It's a
how-
Cabernet.
how were the legs?
Pretty color. The legs
It
are,
is a pretty
yeah,
color.
they're good. And it has a nice aroma. I
It's
smell
got
cherries.
legs.
Do I smell cherries?
I smell cherries.
Well, it doesn't say anything about cherries in the description.
Well, we smell cherries.
did.
Then the
Yeah,
cherries are there. It's got blackberries, creamy vanilla, and a hint of oak. All right, we're gonna. Oh wait.
Oh.
To
To
Oh,
democracy.
to democracy.
And
Long may
wait,
it rain.
May I add one more? To
Yes.
our federal workforce.
Yes.
yes,
God
We
bless
appreciate
them.
you.
yes. We're here for you.
I'm still not drinking, everybody, so I'm just smelling. I'm on my
Ooh.
starting my 10th
a
month
little,
of no
tiny.
alcohol.
Say it again.
I'm starting my 10th month of no alcohol.
I know.
Wow.
I'm almost to my
That's
year.
very impressive.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, I'm proud if I go 2 nights.
I went 3 nights in a row, and I was like, yay!
And it's not like I drink a ton of it, but it's like
Sometimes I do.
well.
No, at the end of the year, I want to update and let you guys know if I've noticed any differences
Yeah.
in my.
Well, on the nights
changes.
that I don't drink, I do know. I
do?
notice a difference
Okay.
in like my digestion, and
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, percentage of alcohol. What do you think?
I'd say 12 and a half.
Well, let me see.
Just going by legs alone. I'm gonna have my
A
my
little sharp,
athletic
this
beer.
wine.
I saw you going.
Yeah, it's.
gonna get a
I'm
glass.
gonna go higher. I'm gonna do 13 and a half.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's 13 and a half.
Yes,
Yep. Oh, there goes Judy.
Sorry. I just wanted to get a glass
Oh.
for my beer.
Oh,
that's good.
okay.
Got
Where's
my-
your beer?
I have it right
Oh.
here. I'm still
okay.
drinking this non-alcoholic beer, so I'd like to
And
join
price
you later.
point.
I would say this. I would say $12.99.
All right, I'm gonna say $9.99.
No expectations. It goes anywhere from $13 to $15.
Oh,
Okay.
Well, I was just thinking with Stu Leonard's and sometimes
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have a good selection of
Right,
more
and I got
affordable
it.
wines.
I'm a member of their club or whatever, so I got a little bit of a discount. So it was $12.58. I think it was on the.
Oh, okay.
But
Interesting.
but then I looked on other places. It goes from 13. I think Total Wine carries it as well.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's how many Wildflowers?
I'm going low with this one. I'm doing. Yeah, I don't love it. I wouldn't purchase it.
I think I would again.
Can
Yeah.
I ask a question on that? It smelled acidic to me. Is it
It's
acidic?
very,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, it's got that, like, I made a face when I swallowed
You
it.
did. Okay.
Yeah.
I got that pungent
Yeah, yeah.
little thing in going. How about you, Carol?
Well, wait.
I'm gonna give it, I never said what I was gonna do,
Yeah.
did I?
No.
I'm gonna give it 3.
Okay. I'm gonna give it 4.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
I'm going to give it nothing because I didn't taste it.
Okay.
Well, all right. You know what? I have a word. I have different words, but
okay.
I'm gonna give this one. My cousin's wife posted this, and I commented to her. I said, "Oh, that's great for my word of the day." No,
It's not great for her.
no. Ultra crepidarian. Ultra crepidarian.
CREP.
CIDARIAN.
What's this? I'm sorry, what?
I'm
CR?
not going to.
EPIDARIAN. Ultra crepidarian.
I have no
Is that something
idea.
to do? And I didn't
with a
see the
crypt.
definition. It's something to do with somebody who's older.
Decrepit? Or a crypt?
Yeah, like
a
some-
crypt?
Nope. A person who expresses opinions on matters outside the scope of their knowledge or expertise. Most
Like our president.
Exactly.
President.
Most patients are ultra crepidarians when it comes to medicine, or when somebody gets in office and doesn't know what they're doing.
I have a word too that is very much in tune with our discussion.
Good. Okay.
Actually, it was mentioned in this poem. praise our reckless hubris,
Yep.
and the infinite distractions, blah, blah, blah. So, hubris, the definition, overconfident pride combined with arrogance. Hubris can lead to overestimation of one's abilities and a failure to listen to others. An attitude of superiority, often accompanied by a lack of empathy or consideration for others. Arrogance involves looking down on others, belittling their accomplishments, and exaggerating one's own achievement. It is like,
They've got a picture of Trump right there.
I mean, when I read the definition, I said,
Yeah.
holy, I mean, I knew what it meant, but I
Right,
said,
right.
let me look up this
Really
word and
do
see what the
understand.
dictionary says, and they use it in sentences. And then I said, oh, the picture of Trump should be right next to this word.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
I only started watching MSNBC a little bit lately, and CNN. I can't watch regular news. But there is a friend of mine on Facebook, and she's actually very powerful now with, she's got something called the weekly list, because she's basically trying to keep things in order so that we can pay attention to what he's doing. So, because he's doing so much.
People did this in his first reign too.
Yeah.
This started, somebody that did this the first time he came. And
You've
I
got to
said-
pay attention to what, because
It is hard to keep track of everything.
Everything.
It really is.
And-
Because it's-
Are we talking about this now, or are we going to talk
Sure.
about it afterwards?
Well, I think we're talking about a little bit now.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. So Amy Siskine is the one that wrote the weekly list, and I'm not going to read the whole list, but I printed
That's
it
a
out.
big list.
It's a huge list.
That's
It's
for a week?
This is the weekly list. Well, she probably tacks onto it from the week.
Oh, okay, I see,
I
I
would
see.
imagine. So yeah, but it's like you have to pay attention, and because if you remember what he actually said when he was running, that the price of eggs was going to go down right away, and that's not even.
Oh, yeah, on day one.
If
Yeah.
you can
First
even
of all,
find
the
eggs
president,
in the store, which
president
they don't
even-
have a lot of eggs.
Oh,
In
really?
the store. Sorry.
I don't know why people even believe that, because the president of the United States has no control over food prices.
Right.
Over egg prices, any kind of prices in the supermarket. It's all supply and demand, and the companies that supply us with it.
It's the ill-informed who believed it.
I know,
It's
so.
just
And the price of eggs has gone up because of the avian flu.
right.
That's
Which
why.
we won't get information about
had nothing to do-
anymore because
exactly.
there's an information stoppage at the CDC,
Yeah.
so we're not
No,
going to get
no
any
communications
information
about any
what's happening.
medical things at all.
Yet where we live here in Long Island, there was a mass slaughter of chickens out in Suffolk County, over 10,000
And the
chickens.
ducks, it was
Ducks, I'm
it was
sorry, ducks.
100,000 ducks.
Oh, 100,000.
on that duck
I heard it
farm,
was 10,000.
Crescent.
That person's
I think it was
career.
100,000.
Yeah.
It was this family business. They've been in family
Alright.
for generations.
Well, so
They're wiped
again,
out.
this is a real thing that's happening, of course, happening in our own backyard, but we won't get any information from
Right.
the
And
federal government.
tuberculosis is getting.
I saw that on the news yesterday.
And I forget what state they said it was rising in. It was out west somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's tuberculosis now. We're going to see this more and more because lack of information
And the funding that's being pulled away from research, medical
Yes.
and scientific research,
Yep.
stopped temporarily, maybe. They've been suspended, all grants. So, you know what? That means cancer research too.
Yeah,
This
that-
is going to directly affect every family in the United States.
Yep. So gals, how are you handling this? What are you doing?
Well, what I did is I broke up with not only Facebook, but I also, because Meta can go suck it, I can't support it. I don't want to be part of Meta. I don't want anything to do with Facebook, but more importantly as well, or equally as important I should say, is I broke up with Amazon. Do you know that Meta and Amazon's owners donated each approximately, or I think it's more than that, $1 million
It was-
to Trump's, I can't even say his
His name.
inaugural fund.
Exactly.
To his inaugural
They
fund.
weren't the only
Now-
two that did it
No,
either.
and a lot of, and I was like, I can't. So I broke up with them. I've been a Prime member for so long, and the day that I made the decision, thank goodness I did, because it was the day that my Prime membership was being renewed. And I was so glad that I was able to cancel it.
Yeah.
And I said, how, this might be hard, but they're profiting off of our laziness.
Yep.
And I don't want my money to be used for his benefit.
And
I will not do it.
You inspired me, because I canceled my
good.
Amazon Prime.
I'm glad.
And mine was due to renew on February 3rd.
Good.
Yeah. I don't have Amazon Prime, and I never did. If I do, on the rare occasion that I order something from Amazon, it's my son-in-law's account. I rarely use Amazon unless I'm desperate and I need something that I can't find fast, and I need it. As far as Facebook goes, I'm still on Facebook, and I'm not going to get off Facebook, because I feel like that's caving, that we need to take our power on Facebook. That's how another way that we could spread the word. I might get kicked off, because today I did a post and it started Zuckerberg sucks, and I put down a clip from an article that I was reading about when he went on Joe Rogan's podcast and said that Facebook needs more masculine energy in it. No, I'm not getting off, but I'll never buy anything that's advertised there.
The thing that makes me crazy when they say that is a president who wouldn't go to war because of bone spurs.
Yeah, I know.
And you're talking masculine? Go screw yourself. I mean, really, this is just so pathetic. I know that a lot of people aren't going to be shopping at Target.
It's no problem not shopping at Target. I wanted to stop Target for a long time.
Now, why did you want to stop Target?
Because I hate Target. Not only do I hate first of all, their lines, it takes you an hour just to go. Sometimes their lines are so long, at least the one by me.
Oh, not by me. No.
I've had a real issue with their shopper. Their clothing for girls. They over-sexualize children with their clothes.
All the short crop tops and
the sizes. When my children were younger, I would buy, say, my girls couldn't fit in the children's size anymore. I would pull up a woman's size small t-shirt, go over to the boys section, hold it up to a boys child medium, and it's the same damn size.
Oh, wow.
For the same shirt. And I go, why are you trying to put, you're trying to give girls the comics. Then I reluctantly went in maybe about 3 weeks ago, because my daughters wanted to get something for a present for a friend. I said, let me go over the pajamas, because we needed some pajamas. I looked. I threw a temper tantrum in there, because all of the pajamas, with the exception of 2 different types, and you couldn't find the size because everybody bought those dresses out, were all these bras. It was like basically a bra with little mini pajama shorts.
I never see that. I always buy pajamas.
No.
The company is called Above the Stars, and they're very soft, and they're long sleeve, and they're like jogging pants.
Yeah. They didn't have any by me at this one. It was all these little skimpy things. I said, what are they telling these girls to do? Go walk around their house in a little bra and little mini short?
Yeah, I don't know. But then again, I don't shop for children anymore or whatever.
I hate them. I'm not going in there again.
Yeah. But it's a problem for me, because they are right around the corner, basically, from where I live, and they're very convenient. And people say, well, go to Costco instead, which is so silly to compare the two.
Costco is one of the companies that didn't eliminate.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But like I said,
I think I'm going to get a membership.
I'm not going to need a huge bag of whatever. It's like, whereas the two don't make sense. They're totally different as far as I'm concerned. And then so Home Depot. All right, so I know that the owner of Home Depot, supported Trump, and he put a lot.
Yeah, he's dead now. So.
Yeah, and then, so I was going to Lowe's, but now I know Lowe's is on the list that doesn't support DEI.
Because they were all caving to him, that's why.
And it's like, where are you going to go?
I know.
Where do you, it's like, eventually, where were you going to go? They're all, I don't know what to do.
It just makes you rethink, though, what you really need.
Right.
And do you really need to buy money? And where you want to say, all we have is where our consumerism against these big people, and where we choose to use. And yeah, is it going to be perfect? No. But I mean, I just don't think I could spend my money. If I have a choice, I'll look around. Like I bought postcards recently, and I used to get them from Amazon. Yeah, it took me a little extra time to find the ones that I wanted somewhere else.
Right.
But I got them. And maybe it took me a day or two more to get them. That's okay. It's
Yeah.
resetting what we got used to.
Right.
But I mean, I think Facebook is a lot like where you choose to spend your money. And so if you're gonna boycott a company, I think why are you still continuing
But
to be on
Facebook
it?
is only like that if you buy into the ads that they put out. Click on that link and buy it through that link. When you could say, what's the name of this company? And go on the internet and look for them.
The more people that are on Facebook, the more their stock goes up because that's more exposure to ads that marketers have, that their stockholders make money. They start losing subscribers.
But they could also
their value
use
will
the
go
ads
down.
if people aren't clicking on the
They
link.
sure could, but also, it's all around. I just don't want to be, and everybody makes their own decision, but I go, I'm so angry with Meta
Well, I
and
don't
how
like-
quickly Zuckerberg went and changed
yeah.
his position that I can't be.
They all
anywhere
did,
on them.
Yeah.
but all of them did.
And I have to say I'm better for not being on it. I don't
Yeah.
need to, I think we went through with my phone. I didn't get a lot of my friends' messages anyway. But the one, I'm not bombarded with these hate messages. I was so glad I wasn't on my town's page this past week because sometimes reading that page gets so disappointing.
Oh yeah, it's very
At least I don't
rough.
have to hear it.
Well, we're talking about, like companies and, things that we want to boycott. I have to give a shout out to a company, Penzeys Spices. Penzeys Spices has always been, I don't know the whole
How do you
story of it.
spell Penzeys?
Penzey''S.
Okay.
We used to have one in Call Place. They're wonderful stores. All they sell is spices. I mean, it was a big, gigantic, you couldn't not find a spice that you wanted there.
Nice.
Penzeys Spices, over the last couple of years, I've seen things that they post about support Penzeys, support democracy. Well, it turns out that they're a very liberal company, and Donald Trump hates them. So he's always trying to close them down. Remember that?
Yes.
So I got a text message from Samantha 2 nights ago, and she said, "Did you send me these spices?" So I said, "No, I wish I had." She said, "Oh, I don't know who sent them." And she sent me a picture, and it said Penzeys Spices on it. So she said, "I don't know who sent these to me." Because sometimes I'll just send her something as a surprise. So I Googled it. Penzeys Spices sends a box of spices to federal employees in the D.C. area.
Oh my gosh, I love them.
Okay.
Cheers to Penzeys
Cheers to
Spices.
And I'm going to go buy some spices right now. After this, I'll go buy
I know,
some
and their
spices.
stores are wonderful, and the one in Call Place only lasted maybe 2 years, and it closed down, so.
That's so nice of them. That
I
they,
know,
and,
I know.
And they're more supportive than our own leader of the country.
That's
of
right,
their own.
yep.
You
I
know,
know.
so that's what. That's
Well, I mean, I have so much that we all have so much we could talk about, but I think you've got a book.
Yeah, I don't want to go too long. I just kind of want to. It may not seem relevant at first. I just want to do it. I've had this book for a long time. It felt the right time to read it. It's called Street Gang. It's
Okay.
the complete history of Sesame Street.
Oh my God, I'm looking at the pictures, and I said, oh, it must be
Right.
about Muppets.
It was published in 2008 by the author's Michael Davis. He's with Penguin Books. I've been meaning to read this a long time. It's no secret. I'm a big Sesame Street fan. I think we touched on it a little bit.
I love Sesame Street.
Yeah.
My favorite is Ernie.
Yeah.
Yours is Grover, I believe.
Mine
and
is
yours is
Grover.
Grover too.
Yeah.
I remember us talking about it.
Yeah.
And why do I think it's relevant? Well, after learning all about it, there's a couple of things that are happening. You may or may not be aware that right now they don't have a venue to buy. Max was had picked up for new episodes of Sesame Street, which are currently in its 55th year.
Wow.
Okay? And they don't know yet if anybody's going to pick them up. Max says they're not going to be renewing it. Max is owned by Warner Brothers, so I'm sure that they'll be getting some message from me soon about this, because for the first time in 55 years, this is in danger of not being in existence anymore. And I think it's a real shame because this was a marvel. This was created with public money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first
on
things.
PBS, which is also going to lose their funding.
Right, the Carnegie Foundation and the Ford Foundation put up half the money, along with Macy put up half the money. The other half was funded by our government, the Department of Education, or it was at that time it was called the Office of Education, which is in danger of also not being in existence anymore. And the reason why this was formed was Joan Gans Cooney, who is now in her mid-90s. She was a marvel. She was hosting a dinner party with some friends also in the same industry, and one of the people there had mentioned how their young daughter would wake up early on Saturday mornings to sit in front of a TV. Do you remember, and I do, where before the cartoon started at like 7 in the morning, there would just be like a space, like a picture, maybe like an Indian head. And the daughter would sit
the test band.
Yeah. She would sit there staring at it.
Oh my gosh.
As a lot of kids and parents related to their kids did, waiting for the show to come on.
Oh, okay.
Right, because they couldn't wait. And it became, while sitting eating over beef bourguignon, Julia Child's recipe, the question came up, do you think television could be used to teach children?
No.
And she created this program. I don't know, she was in the television industry, but she was never
this story.
an industry, like she didn't have the experience of writing or producing. She became the executive producer.
No.
Back in the late 60s,
Yeah.
early 70s, when it was unheard of for a woman to be running this.
Yeah.
She got the funding, she got the talent, she got everything, and created such a big deal. With by its second week, Sesame Street reached 1.9 million households by its second week.
Wow.
And this was on educational television, which was
Yeah.
high above, like in those channels that nobody ever really, went. Mississippi banned Sesame Street because it said its constituents weren't ready for
diversity. Because there were black people on there,
Right,
and Puerto Rican people,
and I just thought, I wrote so much because I wasn't.
and green and blue people too.
Yeah. There's a lot I could say. I don't want to take up time, but I just wanted to point out the importance of it, because now we're looking at a real crisis, I think, that's going to happen in our education
It's already
system.
happening.
Well, we also do, but you could find a podcast where you're talking about education and why, choice in school is not really choice in school, and so we're seeing the school choice movement taking real big effect here. And I think a program like this is so important, because at a time when children weren't going, they didn't have access to preschool. A lot of children, especially urban children, and that's what they were, inner city children.
And rural.
And rural, you're right. And rural, you having grown up to rural. They tapped into how they could teach children the basics of reading, at a very early age by putting it to song. Because we know the brain works differently when you hear music.
I remember songs from when I was like 5 years old. Every word of them.
And it's the reason why dementia patients can remember songs,
exactly.
but they can't remember yesterday what they had for lunch. But they tapped into this and they did it so well because it was such a pleasure. It was sometimes could be a little, getting into the technical stuff, a little dry at some points, but it was important because you see what they did. They relied on scientists, researchers, educators. They did their test audiences. They did a lot of research in a short period of time to get a program that has lasted 55 years. I mean, I'm a Sesame School kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Sesame
My
Street
kids are.
Were your kids?
I am not.
Yeah. I'm a Sesame Street kid, and I know, by the time I entered kindergarten, my parents also read to me, so that definitely did make it, but I could read.
Wow.
And my girls grew up on Sesame Street. I knew kids growing up whose parents didn't let them watch Sesame Street because in their head it was too urban.
Really?
I knew some people.
Wow.
But it was such a pleasure, and I think we need something like this. I really hope somebody picks up Sesame Street.
And we don't have enough shows like that. There used to be Electric Company.
Yes.
Was also another great show.
Well,
that was
that's the last thing I was going to say, because
Reading Rainbow.
she did Electric Company.
As an adult,
Really, yeah.
I used to be thrilled when my kids were watching Electric
I like that
Company.
with Sesame Street. I remember watching it. I think I was 16, 17, and I'm like, oh, when I have kids,
Yeah.
I hope they're going to watch Sesame Street because I just found it so entertaining because they were inside jokes too
That's
that
right.
adults
Yeah,
could get,
yeah.
and you're
Now,
like,
Jessica loves Sesame Street, and Samantha wasn't crazy about Sesame Street.
what is Samantha like?
Samantha liked Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's just,
My sister liked that too. I think it was that generation.
Yeah,
You know, they
yeah.
were around the same age.
and Jessica loved Mr. Rogers, and Samantha used to be
Me
like,
too.
oh, I'm so bored with Mr.
Oh, I
Rogers.
love him.
But
But
she
I-
ended up being very smart anyway. So.
Yeah.
But what I liked about the book is because when I think of Sesame Street, I think a lot of people do. You think of Jim Henson, right?
Yeah.
Who was very interesting. And I wanted to settle quickly the debate about Bert and Ernie. Bert and Ernie in the book, it really was discussed. Bert was voiced by Frank Oz, and Ernie was voiced by Jim Henson. They handled a lot of different puppets, like Frank Oz did Grover as well. But they were best friends in real life, and these characters were said to be the closest to their real life personality as they were. So they were best friends.
That's so sweet.
And he died at 53, Jim Henson,
Yeah.
in 1990, in May, I believe, May 16th.
Sepsis, I think he had.
He died, no, it was streptococcal
Oh,
pneumonia.
oh,
He
that's
was, what they said was a brilliant puppeteer, a brilliant businessman, but he was very into mystic and naturalism and psychics. And he didn't go to the doctor in time. He thought he could just,
right.
you know, not
Wait it out,
And
yeah.
by the time they did bring him to the hospital, it was too late to do
Yeah.
anything. But he's had 5 years before he died, he scripted out his funeral.
Yes,
How
I've
weird is
heard
that?
about that.
I mean, in his late 40s.
He was into psychics. Maybe
Like,
he predicted
down
it.
to like the music he wanted play. He didn't want people to wear black or brown.
Yeah.
He wanted them to wear color. And he was going through a separation from his longtime wife, although yet it was his wife he wanted by his bedside at the end. And I just real quick wanted to read something she said at her funeral because I thought it was really touching.
And there's a documentary on all this too.
Yes, there is. I would like to see it, but they did mention that. And she said, "The reason you're touched is because Jim touched some special place in you that knows all of the light and all of the truth and all the love that there is to know. And I hope that you will take whatever it is he has given you to let it help you to enjoy life to the fullest. Because he always did, but always with a little pain and a little sorrow that gave it richness."
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
That is. That's very, very,
And he
very
had
sweet.
a very tortured, I think, getting from this relationship with Sesame Street. He didn't want to be a kid's puppeteer.
Yeah,
but-
because he was on Saturday Night Live when they first came on.
You're right.
And he,
Kermit's
I
been
just-
around since 55.
and he doesn't look like
Really?
He
Yeah,
looked, but
Kermit?
he looked totally, not totally, but a
Yeah,
lot
no, he
different.
morphed over time. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think that that's so important, and I think the education can be entertaining. It can be fun,
Yes.
and
Edutainment
I'm
is
guessing
what the
that
goal
the
was,
president has
edutainment.
never watched Sesame Street. I'm guessing.
This is not a program I think the current regime would support.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
this is trying
It's too diverse.
It's too diverse. Number one is DEI, I guess. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's minorities in here. Ah! You know, and you know, also it's trying to elevate. It's
Right,
trying to
right.
bring people into education and to have them think for themselves and to treat people with respect
Right.
and to treat people with kindness. And
Yeah.
these are
Well-
not qualities that are mirrored by our current administration.
Sure, a lot.
So
All
I
of that
thought it was
is
an important
dangerous to, the
Yeah.
current situation in the
Yes.
Republican
And
Party.
it's mocked. I mean,
Yeah.
kindness, diversity, and you know, and just cultural differences are mocked by this current administration,
Yeah.
and I think it's so sad.
it's
and
so
if you don't
crazy.
agree with that, you know, I popped in an episode of Sesame Street. They
Yeah.
talked today, right before I came in.
Yeah.
It was the Christmas Eve special, which they wrote about in here about how it was one of their best ones, and it really was. It was
Yeah.
really nice, and it mimicked O. Henry a little bit, you know. Oh, I
I
just loved it.
probably saw it. Now, we had, when Jessica and Sam were little, an album, Susan Sings Songs from Sesame Street.
Oh.
That album was so, because that
Yeah.
it was a turntable.
Yeah.
The cover was all jagged and there was
that's too
scratches in it, because that was always on
That's
in my
cute.
house. They loved it, and they did. Sesame Street also brought beautiful music, to kids too. So
Well, the
it's,
music was written primarily by Joe Raposo, who was in his own right a special and accomplished musician.
Yeah.
And just like, Jim Henson retained the licensing rights and ownership of his Sesame Street characters, never selling them to Disney, although Disney stole some of his
Yeah.
Sesame Street characters, and they sued him after his death, and they won. But anyway, you'll get that from the book.
Yeah.
But screw Disney. And then but Joe Raposo, they allowed him, the CTW Children's Television Workshop allowed the musicians and writers to keep their rights to that, and so
Wow.
the music,
Yeah.
like sunny days,
Yeah.
keep sing all of it. They could reap the royalties of that.
Oh, good.
For
Yeah.
for a long
Yeah.
time. So that was
Yeah.
really, I thought, forward thinking and generous.
Yeah.
You would never find that in like a company like Meta or
Right.
Musk's
No.
company
No,
or anything
it's all
like that.
greed. It's
No.
all greed.
So I think what great morals that this company, Children's Television Workshop, promoted, and what they were encouraging, not just to put out for children, but what they did for their own as well. I
Right.
thought was really important.
So it's called
Yeah.
Street Gang by Michael Davis.
Yep. Look it up.
Thank
It was a
you.
New York
Yeah.
Times bestseller, apparently.
Love it, love it.
Yeah.
Well, this was number 95.
Well, before we close, I just
Yes,
wanted to, tell people some of the things that we're doing. Like, we went to a Democratic Party meeting in my town. Changing what's happening starts from the ground up. You have to get involved in your local politics, watch what's going on in your own town, go to town board meetings, go to your Democratic club in your town. You could get a lot of information from them, and they're working hard to make things change, and you have to be a part of that change. If you know,
it takes an effort.
it really does take an effort. There was one night that we went out that we really didn't want to go out and go to a meeting, but you have to make the effort. You just can't sit back and complain on Facebook.
Right.
You have to do your thing. You have to do postcard writing campaigns.
Your school boards.
Yeah, exactly.
Your
Library
libraries.
boards, school
Yeah.
boards. That if you know undocumented people, there are so many resources for them. One of them is called Make the Road. There's so much information on their website. And then there's mutual aid that could help out even homeless people, migrants who, need clothing for the winter. There's so many resources on the internet, and everybody who cares about their fellow citizens should be looking into it and doing a little bit of what you can do.
And check in with your people that may be currently federal workers. I just want to give a shout out to your federal workers. They had a really
Yep.
rough week.
Yep.
It's a rough
So
week.
far, a couple of weeks.
Yep.
They're not okay. They're strong. They're hard workers.
It's stressful.
But pay attention. If the leader of the country who's in charge of these federal workers is treating these workers like crap, what do you think he's going to do for you?
Right. Exactly.
So,
And he's
Yeah.
trying to eliminate a lot of
Yeah.
departments that protect us.
Right, because he wants to be the only one protected from all
Yep.
the
he's
things
throwing
he's
them
done.
under the bus unnecessarily and using them for political gain.
But don't listen to us.
Nope. You
Don't
listen
just
to
because,
what's being said.
yeah,
Exactly.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pay
His own
attention.
words.
And he has some of the richest, most powerful people in the world helping him do it.
They-
Elon Musk,
Yep.
Zuckerberg, who's the guy from Apple? Tom somebody?
Oh.
The Apple guy too, he was at the inauguration.
Oh, Tim.
Cook.
Tim Cook.
Yeah, Tim Cook. They're all part of it. The Google guy, I forgot his name too.
I don't know. But you know what?
Shaw somebody.
They have the microphone, but we can build up our power.
That's right.
But you know what? My dogs are hungry.
Yeah.
I gotta stop right now. But we're gonna be back here soon for number 96.
Yep.
But thank you. And again, the shout out to the poem that we read was called What was it again?
Praise the Broken Promise of America by Allison Luderman.
Thank you, Allison.
Love it.
It's a beautiful poem.
It is.
And thank
it's
you,
right on.
Cynthia Gopal was the one that I woke up to a text very early the other morning, and I'm like, what was it? And I was like, oh, when I read it, I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I love this poem. So
I
Yeah.
love the line about the music
Look it up
that
and spread it
refused
around.
to play.
yes,
Because the music that did play
That's right.
got dropped from my lists on
Yeah.
the musicians. I just
Yeah.
said delete, and I had a couple of them, and I said you're gone.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
All right.
Thank you very
Bye,
much.
guys.
all right, bye.
Yes,
Thank you.
guys,
Yep,
it's
now my
time to
dogs
eat.
say no. They're
Thank
like,
you.
oh, I
Later.
know. We're
Bye.
just so excited.